Did you forget to hit the implementation button? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Michael Perusich. This is Dr. Troy Fox. Troy, you go to a seminar, you have a great idea, whatever it might be, and it's so great that you forget to tell anybody about it and forget to implement.
Yeah, it's like, when you want to fire off a rocket, you push the button to make it go, the implementation button. And
Mhm.
so we call this also failure to launch.
Failure to launch. Exactly.
You got a lot of
Exactly.
great ideas, but you kind of forgot to build the rocket or to push the button.
And how great are the ideas if you never implement them? They're
Right.
just words on paper or words in your head that don't go anywhere. This is something that we see a lot, even with our clients sometimes is, maybe they come to one of our seminars. And by the way, we have great seminars, mostly virtual seminars. You'll love them. And they get some great ideas, but then they don't have any implementation strategy behind it. And so those great ideas just go into the memory banks and never get used. And so how do you build a practice? You have to implement. How do you grow a practice? You have to implement. How do you become more successful? You have to implement. How do you set goals? We've talked about goals here recently. How do you set goals? You have to implement. How do you improve your staff? You've got to implement. I mean, implementation is built into absolutely everything.
And it's amazing nowadays we have all these cool tools like AI note takers, right? And
Right.
they haven't solved the problem because the problem is a lot of us are really good at taking notes at seminars and writing down all these great ideas, and we can't wait to tell our staff about them or our spouse or whoever, and that's where it ends. And now we've got these AI note takers, so we don't even have to take notes. We just sit back and relax.
Right.
We let the AI note taker take the notes. It sends it into my inbox and my email, and I never open it.
Right.
I'm like, it's almost worse now than it was before when you actually took notes yourself, because now you're not even taking the notes. You're not even writing down these great ideas and getting excited about it. It's in your head. You're thinking about it. Man, that'd be really cool for my practice. And instead, we get them. They go into our email, and 3 months later, they've still been unopened. And it's actually an epidemic with
I
human
think it is.
professionals. And it's not just in chiropractic, it's in business in general. Most of us have a failure to launch. And the ones that are super successful, just a little caveat for those of you listening, those folks that are super successful, the ones that you want to emulate, it's usually not that they have a better plan. It's usually not that they use AI better than you do, or they somehow manage their money better than you do. There are some cases where that's true, but in a lot of cases, it's that implementation button. It's that failure to launch that completely unravels the whole process, because
Yep.
now you're right back to business as usual. You didn't change a darn thing.
Exactly. There's so much to unpack here. We need to take a quick break. We're talking about the dangers of the lack of implementation. And so we'll be right back.
Affordable care shouldn't mean undervaluing yourself, but most chiropractors are still undercharging, especially when it comes to insurance allowances and cash patients with limited coverage. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately, get paid well when insurance is available, and still serve patients with no or limited benefits, all through a compliant discount medical plan. The result? Doctors stop undercharging, raise fees, and increase income by about 20% without sacrificing care. That's not a discount strategy, it's a business strategy. Learn more at chirohealthusa.com.
Okay, we are back. We're talking about implementation. And Troy, as you were sitting there talking before the break, I realized that implementation, so we got all this technology around us, right? But the actual act of implementation is still a very human function.
Yep.
And that's probably where we fail, is because we got all this tech stuff around us, and you mentioned like AI note taking and those kind of things, and yet it's still up to us to be able to implement.
And we're not doing it. And maybe someday AI gets smart enough that we just go, here's my notes, implement all this stuff. And there are probably people out there that go, I already know how to do that. Maybe some of the marketing stuff. But for you to actually make a physical change to your practice, or make a physical change to yourself. Let's say that your verbiage with your patients is not where it should be, and you're at a seminar and the speaker is talking about verbiage with patients, like that, the doctor patient talk in the room. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. These are all super cool. Like I was listening to a podcast the other day by Chase Hughes, if you've ever heard of that guy. Chase talks about human nature. He was an ex-CIA guy, I think. He talks about human nature and how you can direct humans to do certain things just with how you verbiage.
Sure.
Super cool. But if I
It's called
don't,
sales.
yeah, if I don't implement any of that, guess what? I'm still getting the same darn result. So the problem is, like you said, very human, and we have to actually still do the work. Even if you got AI that can do 90% of it, the problem is you're the one in front of the patient, not the AI.
Yeah, AI can help you develop a plan maybe, but I keep hitting my microphone. Here's the other aspect of it. Because it's human and because we get behind on actually implementing things, here's what's happened. We're in a massive change in the profession right now, and it's been happening for about the last 3 years. And I
Mhm.
think part of the frustration and things that we feel in the profession right now are the fact that while this change has been going on, so few practices have actually implemented new and innovative strategies. And so now are behind the 8 ball and are finding themselves struggling. And it's
Mm.
because the ideas have been floating around. I mean, we've been pushing out new innovative ways to practice for 3 to 5 years now, knowing that these changes were coming. What's one of the changes? The loss in insurance reimbursement, which
Mhm.
is a blessing, but you also have to be a little innovative and change your practice. So if you're hearing these ideas and you've been plugging in, and now you're finding yourself behind the 8 ball, it's because you haven't implemented. That's that human point where you got to stop and take the time to implement. And what do we hear all the time, Troy? How much time do doctors think they really have?
Very little time. And there are two type of non-implementers, by the way. Non-implementer group one is the one that says, wow, that's a great idea. I can't wait to do it. And they just don't do anything. Failure to
Yep.
launch. The other ones are the ones that push back like a bull and say, that won't work in my practice.
Can we
And
call
then
them the
stop.
de-implementers?
The de-implementers.
The
They're like,
de-implementers.
they're like, "Nope, not gonna work in my practice. I'm done with," and literally they wipe the concept out of their head before they ever give it a chance
Yeah.
to ruminate or for them to even assimilate it to their practice and go, "What would it look like?"
Yeah. The practice down the road is implementing these strategies and they're shooting the lights out. So the other thing that we hear all the time about implementation is, well, I can't take time to do that,
Mhm.
because that's going to take time out of the practice. We're going to have to close the doors and shut down for a couple minutes, and we're going to lose patients. I'm going to call you out on that one, folks. That
Right.
just it doesn't happen. There's a right way to do it, and you don't lose a single patient visit. And if you want to know how, catsconsultants.com. Come find us, and we'll tell you. Become a member, and we'll tell you how to do it. But you've got to take time to make change happen. And I'm going to use Apple Computer for an example. When they first built the first computer, did they take time to build the computer? Sure. Obviously, duh, they had to. But then did that computer never get changed after that? No. Why did they keep innovating? Because there's competition. Chiropractors, do you have competition? The answer is yes. And it's not just chiropractic, by the way. So just in business in general, you have to keep innovating. Business dies when you stop innovating. Somebody said that, maybe Warren Buffett, I'm not sure. But
Mhm.
anyway, Apple Computer is so insistent about innovation that they literally have these think tank rooms where they go in and they just start throwing out ideas, and there's no bad ideas. They just want to see what sticks. And pretty soon, you get down from the computers we used to have that took up an entire desk to these little bitty things called an iPhone, which
Mhm.
is a highly functioning computer that you can stick in your pocket. That happened not by accident. That happened by innovation. And our profession seems to be kind of a de-implementer when it comes to innovation sometimes. I still see practices sometimes that are running the way they did 40 years ago. And they're crying, why is my practice down? I don't understand. How do you not understand? And they're probably the doctors, Troy, that have the drawers full of notes from seminars that they never did anything with.
And instead what they do rather than, and I hate to pick on some of you, but it's absolutely true. Instead of actually having somebody do some consulting or advisement that has a broad-based knowledge from a business standpoint and a chiropractic standpoint,
Mm.
just look down the street and go, oh, they're doing $21 new patient exams. If I do that, maybe I can be
Oh
successful.
my God, don't do that.
Literally, it's a marketing run yourself into the ground gimmick. You and I have talked many times. The low price leader in your area may not always be the best option for patients, and they may not be the ones that patients flock to. There's a really great example of this and I've used this example, so have you before. If I give you three options and I'm going to offer you three new iPhones, all right? I got one that's just the basic iPhone. Just doesn't even have an Apple on the back of it. It just says Apple on it. And then I got one that's got the Apple on the back of it. Looks pretty legit. It doesn't look like it's a Chinese knockoff, right? It's got Apple on the back of it. And this one actually has an AI button on it that will answer your question. And then I got the super premium, which comes with the free case, 3 free months of like Apple 24/7 support, a gold case. It's engraved with gold, but man, that thing is like $4,000 more than the middle of the road one. And the bottom one is about $400 less. So we're talking $1,200, $1,300 for the middle of the road phone. If I offer all three of those to you, Mike, which one would you pick? Just off the top of your head, psychology says, which one are you going to pick?
Well, I want the gold one,
Well, you want the gold one, but
the biggest percentage of people will pick the middle one.
they're going to pick the middle one. So if you offer a low price, and there's somebody with a medium price and then somebody that's really way out there, right? They're like, oh, it's $180 a visit to go to that chiropractor. You're 140 and somebody's $39.99. Which one are most people going to pick? Most people are picking the middle of the road because psychologically they believe that what? That you are probably a better
The best
chiropractor.
value and a better chiropractor and the best value.
And that's unfortunate psychology. The truth of the matter is if we offer a really low price for something, it affects people's judgment decision that like maybe you're getting an inferior product and that's why it's so cheap.
Yeah, they base it on value. Totally. And here's the funny thing, that if you look at the studies on this, most of the time, yes, most people pick the middle option, but more people pick the higher option than they do the lowest option.
Yep.
So the lowest option just falls off the wayside. So you can't choose the race to the bottom as an innovative factor to implement in your practice.
That's not how you implement it.
That's not.
And we see it a lot with chiropractors. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, do you have to judge your market? Absolutely, you do. But judging your market and trying to drive yourself to the bottom, we've seen that especially in larger towns. And what I hear in a lot of cases, which is really unfortunate, I hear, well, if I don't offer a lower price, then they're just never going to come to me. But if I offer the same price as the guy down the road, patients in larger cities will go chiropractor shopping. They'll go here and get the bonus deal. Then they'll go there and get the bonus deal. Well, that's a small group of patients. I can tell you that I got patients that have been with me for years and years. And I don't offer special pricing. Maybe once every 3 years, I'm like, hey, if you haven't been in a while, we'll do something a little special every once in a while if it's been years, just to recapture some of our patients that have been gone for a while that need care. But I'm not going to do anything that degrades my practice. And
we were the most expensive in 7 counties and still the busiest. It's not about price. It's never about price.
So that's not an implementation strategy. The reason we
It's
got
not.
off on that is because we struggle with that one because it gets used a lot as an implementation strategy. Here is how I'm going to make my practice successful. Hit that button right there and give the $21 special.
Yeah, because we think if my practice is down, I'll just lower my prices for a while and it'll bring a whole bunch of people in.
And
Well, it
it's,
doesn't really work that way. If your
yeah,
practice is down, don't waste your money, time, and energy and money again on something that's just going to degrade your practice even further. Spend your money on good quality coaching. And I'm not trying to toot our horn, even though we're with Cats Consultants. You can go to catsconsultants.com. But go somewhere where somebody's going to help you implement. Because and I'll get back to this idea. We hear a lot of doctors who have ideas. They go to a seminar, they write a bunch of fun stuff down, great stuff. This sounds perfect. I need to add this to my practice, but it never happens. And it's because you don't have somebody on your team helping you implement. And implementation strategies are one of the things that we do with clients all the
mm,
time. In fact, our whole platform of how we do seminars is about right now taking the information you just learned and starting to implement it into your practice. Not waiting till Monday, not waiting till everybody on the team is back from vacation. It's start doing it right now. And it's been hugely successful.
I want to throw out a theory here, and I think a lot of you will fall into this category. We've all been guilty of it at some point or another. Here's what happens with implementation. We go to a seminar, we get really great information. It takes time and effort to implement that, right? You have to have a strategy, you have to have a plan, you have to start working on it. What happens is we get back, we go back into our practice, it's a business as usual. Then we start seeing our practices drop off because business as usual is just not holding, right? It's not holding
Right.
water. It's starting to go down. By the time you decide that your practice is down, it's been going on for months. You can
Yep.
see the warning signs in your stats. Then what happens is you don't have time to implement those strategies that we talked about at the seminar at that point because it's too late.
Right.
You're at the critical point. So now what do? You reactively market. That's what everybody does. It's human nature. It happens every single time. So our goal with you when you come into practice with us is that when the seminar is over, the work begins. And
Yeah.
you go out and start to implement immediately, like Dr. Perusich said, so you don't end up in that daisy cycle where you end up your practice drops off and you reactively market. Practice drops off, you reactively market over and over again till the time it doesn't work and you really panic.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm underwater and I'm in trouble. I would tell you 90% of the time, if I ask you what strategies you've employed over the last year, I'm going to get the same answer. It's going to be what I just told you. It's not going to be that I did my homework and I went and I slowly and accurately and very methodically implemented what I learned in the seminar. So that is why you end up where you're at. And man, if you resemble that, you're the perfect person that just needs somebody on your board of directors to help you.
Yeah.
100%.
And I'm going to throw out one other thought here. And that is, and again, we hear this sometimes. We hear people say, my practice is now so down that hiring a coach sounds and feels expensive. Okay. If I was your investment broker and you came to me and said, gosh, I've only got $500 to invest. Would you like me if I told you you can invest it with me, but you're going to lose it all? Or
Mhm.
would you like it if I told you, you know what? Smart idea, invest whatever you can. And here's what I'm going to do for your money. I'm going to get you at least 5 times return because that's what good coaching does. Even within the first few months, we're going to turn around and give you a 4 to 5 times return on your money. So it's not expensive. It just requires implementation of some strategies. But that's the whole idea of what coaching does is it helps you implement those strategies that are going to get you 4 times, 5 times, 10 times your return on that coaching fee in your practice. And that's a good thing, right?
And if you're gonna come along with us on this journey, be ready to work. Don't show up and think you're gonna absorb this through osmosis just because I'm talking to you and telling you this is what works in practice. Here's how our doctors have been successful. Here are the business strategies that we would like you to start with. Step one, two, three. And then again, failure to launch, failure to implement, failure to hit that button.
But
You
the
have
implementer,
got to come ready to work. You got to be ready to get with it. That means when you get home from your practice at night, guess what? You're going to spend a couple hours
you have
every
some homework.
on this. You got homework to do every night. Remember back when you're in school, you didn't quit at 5 o'clock and come home and eat dinner and watch sitcoms. You went
Nope.
in your room and studied. It is time to get down to it if you want to get better in your practice. So if you want to put a smile on your face, you have to be ready to go to battle. When you come to us, this is not all of a sudden, oh, I can just breathe easy and let everything go because these guys are going to handle it for me. We're on your board of directors. I'm not going to come in and adjust your patients and talk to them. You are.
You are. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I was sitting here thinking, this is why I was smiling. I'm sitting here thinking that don't be like some of your patients who come in and think that I'm going to the chiropractor and the chiropractor is going to do all the work and I don't have to do anything. And after 4 or 5 visits, they come back in and what do they say? We've all heard this. It's not working. Well, are you doing this, this, and this at home? Well, no. I thought I would just, come in and just by osmosis, to use your word, Troy, it's
Yeah.
perfect. Just by osmosis of going to see a chiropractor periodically that I would get better. No, it doesn't work that way. We give you the tools, you put it to work, but we're going to show you how to implement it. We're going to make it as easy as possible. It's like we're just going to give you extra money in your practice.
Isn't
I'll
that
get on my
funny that
soapbox.
everything we've talked about up to this point requires effort, and that is the one missing component in a lot of cases. Whether you've gone to a seminar and threw the notes in the drawer, gone to a seminar and had AI take notes for you, spoken with us and heard what we after we've dissected your practice. Here's the big three key takeaways that I think you need to start with. Every one of those requires effort. So effort is pushing the button. When we first started talking to you today, we talked about pushing that button, right?
Yep. Got to push it.
You got to
And,
push.
and it's not the easy button because there isn't one.
No. So to get the thing to launch, you have to push the button. Well, to push the button requires effort. That's why I kind of went on my little rant there about you being involved, because I have seen where I've sat down and talked to somebody and you can tell the wheels are turning, but they are not going to push the clutch and put it in gear. And it's so disappointing because it's like,
It is.
okay, you got through chiropractic school, right? Of course you did. You got through boards. Of course you did. You're a smart individual. Of course you are. Why are you not putting the vehicle in gear? Sometimes it's because you're afraid that you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Put that out of your vocabulary. Get on
Yeah.
out of here. Is what's that guy's name? There was some show on HBO or whatever, Billy something on there. He's like, get on out of here. It's on a bunch of the memes on Facebook.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Quit acting like, well, gee, what happens if you fail? Oh my gosh, that didn't work. Well, what are we going to do next time? Rather than, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world if I fail. Humans are so afraid of failure.
You remind me of this. You were at this same homecoming, but I had a classmate come up in between classes and pulled me aside and said, I don't know if you can give me some advice or what. And she starts crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you ill? What's going on? Sweet, sweet person, great
Mhm.
doctor. But
Yeah.
she's failing in practice. And she's standing there crying and saying, I need help. I don't know what to do. My practice is just failing, failing, failing. And I said, Doc, I won't say her name. Well, Doc, why are you letting it fail?
Mhm.
Give us a call. Let us help you. Guess what? Never called,
Mhm.
but she did fail. Don't be one of those stats. We don't need that in our profession. In my opinion, there's never been a greater time. I don't care how great the Mercedes 80s and the 90s were and all that. Right now is the best time ever to be a chiropractor. And if your practice is down, it's not doing what you think it should be doing, you may be caught in that whirlwind of not having been innovative enough and implementing some new strategies in your practice. And that may be why. So invest in some good coachings. I can't say that enough.
You can make that change today. That's the great thing about it, is even if your practice has sucked, I'm going
Yep.
to tell you in the famous words of a guy named Kevin Kisner. He's a professional golfer and a hilarious dude. You know what
Yep.
he says about golf when you're playing golf? You need to suck less.
Yep.
Because here's the thing, you're never going to reach perfection in practice. not in your own eyes even. You're never
No,
gonna reach perfection. So we want to suck less, right? Let's be better at what we do, in other words. I know that's kind of harsh to say that, but I thought it was a funny phrase when he talked about
it
golf
is
because
funny.
you can't ever perfect golf. You can go out and shoot a 78
No,
one day for you guys that are golfers, and then you can shoot 88 the next day with the same attitude. And it's like, I can never master this. We're never going to master chiropractic practice, but we can suck less. And we
we can
can
suck
do it
less.
because people help us along the way.
Yep,
So you
good
got to
voice.
engage, you got to push the button. So you're not going to launch off the pad if you don't push the button.
True. We got to take one last break. We're talking about being innovative and implementing ideas and things in your practice and not getting caught up in the whirlwind of getting your practice so far behind that it starts to fail. So we'll be right back.
Patient numbers dipping, staff overwhelmed, and another marketing idea promising the world but delivering nothing. These pressures feel familiar to nearly every chiropractic clinic today. Across the country, chiropractors work hard, yet many find themselves stuck, balancing patient care with the nonstop demands of running a business. That's where the real strain begins. Most clinics face the same set of hurdles: inconsistent new patient flow, operational bottlenecks, and the constant challenge of staying visible in an overcrowded digital space. National reports show that over 60% of clinics struggle with scheduling efficiency alone, and even more lack a clear marketing strategy that reliably converts. But the good news? These challenges aren't roadblocks, they're signals. With the right procedures, smarter outreach, and guidance built specifically for chiropractic practices, clinics can turn daily stress into sustainable growth. Stronger clinics start with smarter strategies. Grow your practice with confidence. Book your strategy session with CATS Consultants.
Okay, everybody, we are back and really just kind of closing out the show here. If you feel like your practice is down, give us a call. It doesn't cost you a thing to give us a call. Let's talk about your practice. We do that for free. Why? Because we're chiropractors too, and we've had great success in practice, and we just want to help doctors. It makes me sad when doctors are not doing as well as they could be or should be. So just give us a call. You can go to catsconsultants.com. It's cats with a K. And you can either schedule on one of our calendars right there on the website, or you can call the main number and Marissa will get you plugged into us. So, Troy, anything?
I feel like that Elon Musk would be proud of us today. It's like a space commercial. Get that rocket in the air. Hey, a lot of people said Elon couldn't do it, right? Did he ever say, gee, failure's an option? No, I think he's a pretty hard driver. And I think we need to be harder drivers too and say, you know what, maybe what I'm going to do isn't going to work, but I'm going to give it my level best. And I'm not going to sit here in neutral right where I'm at and hope that I don't get swept away by the current. Let's make
Let's
it happen.
implement. Let's implement like Elon.
That's right.
All right, everybody, we're going to check out here. So go to catsconsultants.com. Check us out. There's all kinds of free downloads and things on there, but go check out what we do. I want to thank Chiro Health USA for being one of our sponsors. Troy, thanks for being here as always today. We will see you next time.
See ya.